Richmond centre bounce attendances. What on earth is going on there? It's a discussion point that's frustrating a lot of Tiger fans because outside of the Carlton game, we're not seeing much progression in there. We look very flat-footed, very stagnant, very slow to react, and we're just not seeing a different range of plays through there. And it just got me wondering, what players are actually attending the centre bounce for us? What does that look like? How many is each person doing? And I thought I'd do a little bit of digging on the AFL app. And the results are honestly a little bit surprising. And it probably actually, well, it explains why we're maybe struggling in there like we can clearly see we are and why maybe some changes needed. So with that said, let's bring up the centre bounce attendance sheet and we'll go through it all. Okay, so this is the centre bounce attendance sheet for rounds 1 to 3. I know my camera's covering the rounds 1 to 3 bit, but that's what it says underneath. Like I said, these stats are taken from the AFL website in terms of centre bounces attended, so I can only go off that. I'm not sure if literally there's been a difference, if say another play snuck in there that wasn't recorded. I'm not too sure. I'm only going off the stats provided, so if there's anything different that you can think of, please sing out. But what I'm basically broken down is game by game, how many centre bounces each player for us attended. Now, I've excluded ruckman because it's not really the issue that we're worried about. It's more the midfielders. So I've excluded ruckman from this exercise. So Richmond versus Carlton, round 1. Our centre bounce attendances, Jacob Hopper had 20, Camden McIntosh had 20, Tim Taranto had 20, Thompson Dow 9, Jack Ross 9, and Sam Lawler 2. And that's out of a possible 22 centre bounces. So Camden McIntosh obviously doing 20, sat on Patrick Cripps for most of the game, really curved his influence, which helped keep us in the game as we were coming back. So that all seems to make sense and checks out. I've got no issue with that as it worked. Then we go across to round 2. Richmond against Port Adelaide. Tim Taranto with 28, Jacob Hopper with 26, Thompson Dow with 17, Sam Lawler with 16, Jack Ross with 9, and Camden McIntosh with 6. So K-Mac's gone from 20 down to 6, while Sam Lawler's gone from 2 to 16, Ross gone from 3 to 9, but Taranto and Hopper by far and away ahead of the pack and consistently at the centre bounces. And it's just interesting because in that game against Port was probably the first time that we had realised that K-Mac wasn't really tagging anybody. Didn't really play on Rosie. And look, some people will say it's because he didn't have the speed or the fitness to keep up with Rosie. Maybe, maybe not, but it would have been worth trying, I would have thought, because Rosie had about 39 touches and smashed us. So I'm a little bit perplexed as to why that part dropped off. And those numbers were out of a possible 30. Then we go to round 3 against St Kilda. Centre bounce attendances, Tim Taranto 27, Jacob Hopper 24, Jack Ross 12, Camden McIntosh 10, Sam Lawler 9, Thompson Dow 9, Ryan Mansell 2 out of a possible 27. So again, Taranto and Hopper are leading the way by far and away ahead of everybody else. Jack Ross 12, K-Mac 10. And in the first half, I thought he did a really good job on McRae. And then he didn't seem to be tagging in the second half, which again is something I don't quite understand. I'm sure there's a rationale behind it. And I would love to hear about it. Although, to be also very honest, the coaches don't owe us an explanation of anything. It would just be something that would be nice to know because it seems to not make much sense. Lawler with 9. A little bit down on the week before. So with Sam Lawler, it's going to be about managing his midfield time, I guess. So he probably will go up and down, but Mansell was the new inclusion. So then if we move across to the final column, the total centre bounce attendances for the first 3 games in total. Tim Taranto, 75, Jacob Hopper, 70, Camden McIntosh, 36, Thompson Dow, 35, Sam Lawler, 27, Jack Ross, 24, Ryan Mansell, 2, and that's out of a possible 79 centre bounces. So Tim Taranto has only missed 4 centre bounces. Jacob Hopper's only missed 9. And then it pretty much halves from there. I suppose the concerning thing for me is the lack of variety that's going through there. So let's exclude Ryan Mansell because 2 centre bounces, wowee. If you exclude him, for the first 3 games, we've only used 6 midfielders in at the centre bounce. And it doesn't include your Tyler Sonsie, who has 9 or 10 clearances at VFL level every time he plays there. Doesn't include Seth Campbell, who has a bit of speed and a bit of pace to provide a bit of point of difference. Mansell, I know we just spoke about, had 2, but you'd like to see his number up a little bit higher, just to mix it up a little bit. Doesn't include him. Doesn't include a Steely Green, another fleet-footed player who could go in there for a rotation. I just think we're lacking a bit of mix-up in there. And I've spoken about this a lot in the preseason, that I don't think our centre bounce mix is right. For whatever reason, in round one, it worked against Carlton. Maybe their midfielders equally as flat-footed and slow as ours, and that's why it worked. But against midfielders that are significantly quicker, we are getting found out. And the stats show that we are persisting with Taranto and Hopper in at the centre bounce together for a lot of the time. Now, look, in isolation as individual players, both are reasonably good players. I still am not sold on both of them being in the middle at the same time. Then you add in a Ross or a McIntosh, and neither of them are overly, I wouldn't say explosively quick. McIntosh is a very good endurance runner and will get from contest to contest. Ross thinks quick, but I'm not sure you would say he's quick as a sprinter. And I think that's just there is where the problem lies. That we just have no speed in the centre of the ground whatsoever. And as we've all seen, if we don't win the clearance, we're pretty much shot. And luckily, there's been a lot of times we do win the clearance, but then it sort of accounts for nothing. And I just think that because we don't have the speed in there, that it's the quality of the clearance that's the issue. When opposition break away from the midfield, when they win a centre clearance, they're essentially running towards 50 with no opponent on them, and they get a free pass to hit up whatever leading forward they want. When we get a centre clearance, we're often blast kicking it forward, or it's a blast kick to the wing. It's not really a burst away, nice kick inside 50. That's the difference. So the clearance stats can also be a little bit misleading with that. So how do we fix it? Look, I just think I can understand when the game starts and you're wanting to obviously win the contest, go with your A-grade midfield, whatever that looks like. And that's probably going to be Taranto, Hopper, and a Ross or a Camden McIntosh, whatever it might be. It is what it is. I don't agree with it fully, but it is what it is. But then when the game gets blown out, you look at St Kilda last week. By halfway through the third quarter, the game is done. That's when you should start to see a few more other names get added into the mix. Give them some exposure. Give Seth Campbell some exposure in there. Give Ryan Mantle some exposure in there. The guys have got pace. They love to tackle. Who knows, you might find something. Give Tyler Sonsie a crack in there. The guy who proves time and time again at VFL level that he'll win the clearance. Yeah, he might have some defensive deficiencies, but you know what? In that second half against St Kilda, no one was defending anything. So we actually don't really lose out in that space all that much by changing it up and putting someone like Sonsie in there. Nothing to lose. But you might unearth something. Like how we unearthed Jacob Blight could maybe do a part-time ruck role. He could maybe do a part-time forward role. How do we find that out? Because we rolled the dice and put him in a position that he hasn't really been in before, and he showed something. So I just don't understand why we haven't been doing that with our other midfielders. Maybe that's going to come down the track. Maybe there's a method to the madness for doing it in blocks of 4 or something like that. But look, it's just a bit concerning. I think if we keep persisting with the Taranto, Hopper, McIntosh, Dow, Ross kind of areas, and then even when Prestia comes back in, as much as I love Dion Prestia and what he's done for us, that's not adding any more speed to the mix. It kind of feels like that one of Taranto or Hopper has to start as a half forward. So that way, one of them's in the midfield, one's at half forward, they can alternate. Then you might have McIntosh in as your tagger, but then maybe put someone, like a Campbell, a Mansell, Ross, Lawler, whoever it might be, Smiley when he gets his chance. I just think we have to mix up the three to try and get some more evenness around the contest, because we are getting slapped and slapped badly. And I just think it might prolong the amount of time it takes before teams can break us open. Maybe I might be completely wrong, but anyway, that's my thesis. That's where we're at with the centre bounce attendances. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Are we going too heavy towards a certain group of players? Do we need a bigger mix? What other names would you like to see in the midfield? Let us know in the comments. Keen to hear all your thoughts. And like always, make sure you like and subscribe for more Richmond content. We appreciate all the support. And until the next video, go Tigers.